proudest day, and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast, the 2025 season. And Connor, we're going to look back today at the two-wheel drive battle from Donegal, amongst other things.
Yeah, listen, it was a fantastic battle over the full 3 days. And as each day went on, it just ramped up more and more. But, you know, we were lucky enough to catch up with Aaron McIntyre Derry Long and also Gareth Irwin, Frank Kelly. And then we were joined too by Oli Benton from the Class 13, who, you know, a great result for Oli, came second.
That's for sure. Then. And as well as that, then I also caught up with Neil Roskell, who has signed up to the Tarmac Championship. And anybody that's seen his Stage End interviews, he's just loving it, you know. So yeah, good crack with him as well too. But as you say, that the two-wheel drive battle just got, you know, it was a strange one because, you know, we've lost some of the big names out of it because somebody went down the Rally 2 route. But the guys that stepped into the place, you know, it's almost like a change in the guard there now.
Yeah, look, absolutely. A bit of a change of the guard and stepping up to the pace as well. Like, you know, we saw a phenomenal pace from what do you call it, Gallagher, but then unfortunately he went out, and then that just opened up the battle completely. And it was ding-dong between Aaron McIntyre and Gareth Irwin, especially throughout the Sunday.
Yeah, and then, you know, Conor Harvey was only, like, you know, I think 20 seconds behind that. And, like, he set a blister in place on the first stage on Sunday, but then I think his tyres went off, I can't remember exactly. But, like, he could have been in with the shout as well, too. And, like, even, like, you hear, you know, when we hear chatting to the guys, there was one point on the Friday, I think was it between 4th and 12th, there was something like 9 seconds or something like that there. Absolutely surreal.
Yeah, it might even have been less than that, but yeah, like there was so little between them, and you know, it wouldn't have taken much, a bit of a spin, an overshoot, a puncture, and that was it. People were out of the running, so it really was tight going from the get-go. They had to be on it from the start, and like for these lads, you know, a 3-day event is a big deal.
Yeah, 3 days and the Class 13 or Class 14 car is phenomenal. You know, like it's keeping them running, keeping them sweet for that whole time.
Yeah, but the reliability has been incredible. Like there really was very few mechanical issues or failures. Like the, you know, very well turned out machinery and very reliable machinery as well.
That's for sure. Yeah. So I think without further ado, let's hear from the two-wheel drive man. Aaron, did you ever think driving up the road the week before Donegal that you were coming away with the trophy at the end of it all?
I definitely didn't think I'd be coming away with a win. I was sort of hoping for just a good steady run all weekend, and that's what we did do, and it came our way in the end. We got a race on Sunday with Gareth, and fortunately we hadn't one problem at all the whole weekend, and the car stayed good, but I never dreamed of it coming our way, to be honest with you. So all went well, and the weather was great too, so I was happy out.
Yeah, because Donegal has been part of your process of, you know, getting to where you are now. You've done the juniors, but you've never done the full 3 days international before.
No, I never done the full 3 days before, and I was probably, we'd been in Donegal a lot when we were younger. We'd have a house in Downings and stuff like that, but I always watched it, and last year I was on the hedges.
That's why you're fast in Atlantic Drive. Explains a lot, Gareth, doesn't it?
No, it's all coming out.
Everybody in Atlantic Drive must own a starlet.
Yeah, well, we'd have pedalled around it right bit when I was younger too. So,
Jesus Christ!
He cheated. I wouldn't mind when I done the rec. Yes, I only done one run. I stopped in the singing pub and I had a couple of pints and my dinner. Went out and home to bed. That was it. So it was. So,
you're just making us find better and better as you go on.
No. But no, we would have been in Donegal a lot when we were younger. And last year I was watching it on the hedges, and you know, the smell of the cars going past, I said I'd have to give it a go this year. And we put in a new engine and a new gearbox, and built a new axle for myself, and everyone was fresh in the car and decided now was the time to do it when everyone was fresh and should have no mechanical issues, and it worked out well, so it did. So that was it. That was the main reason behind doing it. I said I'd go to Donegal once, and now I'm probably going to have to go back. So,
No, once it's dead on.
So, Derry, you weren't really required then for a lot of the stages. You knew them that well. Is that
right? I would have been in Downings a bit, but like on Friday, I wouldn't know the whole pipe. I had never been around Malin or any of them before, but I did done the juniors back in 18 and 19 maybe, and done a bit of fanning and stuff like that. But so it was enjoyable.
For sure. And Derry, like your first international one as well, like it's a pretty special thing.
Yeah, sure. Tis a dream come true, really. Like, you know, I've done plenty of internationals between the lakes and Cork 20 and all them kind of ones, but I've never been up at that end of the field, like, you know. But it was nice to get it now. To be fair, the same as Aaron there, I've like going to Donegal since I suppose maybe 2011 or 2012, just watching, and never did I ever think I'd ever win it. You know, sure, we said there before the weekend if we got a top 5 it would be fantastic, like, but come away to win was just something special, like.
Yeah, because it wasn't luck. You know, you were in the mix right from the get-go, right from Friday. You know, the times were strong.
Yeah, we were, I suppose, we were 8th or 9th or that way at the start of Friday, and we kind of chipped away, and we never really went back to field. We always were climbing, so it was just progression, really. And as Aaron would say there, like, he kind of starts a bit slow in the morning, he likes to say himself, but come the evening time, like, he drives, you know, I don't know, is it because we both know the stage in the evening, or he just wakes up with the stage and all? But it's not that he'd be slow in the morning or anything, like, but it just clicks in the evening between the two of us, and we seem to go very well usually, like. So
I think I was just had a bit of time, and I was looking back through times on last week, and on the first stage on Friday there was 3 or 4 of the top lads. They're probably out in their own, but the next 9 positions there was only 3 seconds between it, and then like between 3rd and 12th in the class there was only 3 seconds after the first stage, so it was very competitive at the first few stages on Friday, so it was. And like we sort of kept chipping away. I think after the 3rd on Friday we might have been up to 4th or 5th and kept working our way up steady but slowly. Well, steady enough when we got there, so we did.
Because like 3 seconds is nothing, but that could be the difference between being on the podium and being, you know, 12th or 13th. It is crazy, isn't it?
It is, but I know the top boys might have been another 10 seconds up the road in front of us, but like we were happy enough with that pace on Friday. I think we done like an 8:01 in Malin, and the second time round we done like a 56, and we felt it was far faster, but it wasn't really much faster. But no one else went a whole pile faster too, so it started very sharp on Friday morning, so it did, with the weather being good, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Gareth, you know, like for you, that's your, you know, you've done Donegal now a few times. And like this year, the pace has just been getting stronger and stronger. You know, we spoke earlier in the year after the Tour of the Sperrins. Like, you know, Donegal must really been a dream come true for you.
Oh, hey, look, it would be our home one now, to be fair, because we only live 20 months away. But the pace right there, just from the get go on Friday, it was all or nothing. That's the way you had to drive it. You had to prepare to leave it at every bend to try and get up the field a bit. Mm-hmm. Myself now, we normally start. We are slow starters. Where do we get? Maybe it was actually from the Tour of the Sperrins from the last time I was on there, because it broke down on the way out to the first stage on the main city stages. But the things never made it the first stage. But so it was a couple of months it was on there since I was on there, so I had to take the first couple of stages just to get the feel of it again. But then the second half of Friday, we thought we were on the piss then, and then see him trying to carry that through the Saturday and then Sunday. Sure, it's a mammoth task. It's just even to get the end of it. And then, as like Aaron said, like we we spent a lot of money on the car before Donegal, so we wouldn't have any mechanical problems. And hey, to be fair to the boys at Powertrain, like, it went not a blip all day, not a blip all weekend. It went perfect actually. It was just our luck.
And Frank, you've always said, if they could, if you could start Donegal about Wednesday evening, Thursday, come the weekend, you would be going fairly quick. That's these guys are saying, like, even from the very first stage, the pace was hot and heavy.
It always is in Donegal. I've come to the conclusion if I started Wednesday or Thursday, I'd have crashed by Friday, so it would be no good to me. It was. We tried very hard to start fast, and I felt from the inside of the car, it felt like we could go no harder. And like Aaron said there, the second loop of the stages on Friday, you felt, Jesus, that has to be thereabouts, and you're only 4 or 5 or 6 seconds quicker than your first time over it. But it probably was the fact that everybody hit the ground running. The weather was good. The tyre choices were simple enough. So everybody was going very fast. And Donegal is probably the only difference in Donegal from any other rally is there's going to be 15 men at that speed instead of 5 or 6. And like the lad said, getting a class 14 or 13 car even to survive for the 3 days, because bear in mind, the services were all 30 minutes long. There was no 45, 50 minute an hour service where you could switch a gearbox or a clutch or something. If you had anything more than an alternator or a starter, you weren't getting back out again. You were going to have penalties and it was going to screw your rally. So I think it was a testament to the amount of cars that finished. And like Gareth and Aaron both said, no dramas whatsoever. The only drama we had was a misfire, which has been ongoing since West Cork and plagued us all day Friday. But to be fair, that didn't cost us a ball of time. It wasn't going to make a massive difference. But it was nice to eventually get that sorted. It was a wiring loom on top of the engine, and I had taken every spare part I could with me to Donegal. So that was the last thing on the way down the road to let the Kenny that evening, and she never missed a beat since. So that's sorted. And then the thing flew for the rest of the weekend, and was really happy. Was going in there thinking if we can get in the top 10 with this Kenny artillery here, I'll be happy. Top 5, happy with that. Once we get into 4th, we wanted to keep it, and then there was a do or die in the last stage to keep that because Mickey Carbon was coming very hard. We were 0.9 of a second of a 9 of a second up on him going into Fanad after 3 days. And then I spun at that corner where John Armstrong went off where the tire was melting. I thought I'd thrown it away. I got a bit of a chastising in the car and one thing and another. And then I thought, you know what? We were going well up to this and we'll go well after it. Who knows? And we took an hour, second and a half off him, I think. So it kept 4th. So it was a nice way to finish the rally and it was over the moon.
And like that, when you feel that you've thrown it away, could the red mist come down? Is that where Lauren needs to kind of step in and say, set yourself and just, drive the way you've been driving all weekend?
Probably does. It was the only mistake I made all weekend, which is not like me to make one mistake in 3 days. I can usually make a mistake every stage or 3 mistakes every stage. But part of when we spun there and went to take off again is Gareth, I think, spun up the same corner. I don't know if you had the same feeling, but as soon as we pointed the right direction and headed to get out of the corner, the car wouldn't move.
No, I don't know if it was too much power in the ground or rubber.
I don't know what it was, but it was the weirdest sensation. I thought I've taken a tyre off a rim, and then the next couple of corners I was really careful, and I thought, no, the 2 tyres is hard, but we must have roasted them. And then I thought if I lay back after for a kilometre or 2, they'll come back to me. And so they did. I was less aggressive for a kilometre or 2, and then they came back. By that time, the red mist had subsided, and we just went back attacking again. And the rest of the stage went fantastically well. Like, Fanad's an unbelievable stage. I don't know what the rest of the lads think, but it's probably the stage of the rally, in my opinion. So, lovely stage to finish the rally. Probably a crazy stage to finish the rally, but that's Donegal for you.
Yeah, because there's very few other rallies will have a 20-odd kilometre stage to finish. You think after 3 days, sure, give them a break here, but yeah, it could be 10 seconds found and found it if it was needed.
That's right. With Gareth and Aaron got in there, and there wasn't a whole lot between them, and I thought it'd be lovely in to be that position, but I hope none of them, fuck up or go off, or it doesn't end the rally that way. So it was good to see everybody coming out of it, and getting, everybody worked hard to get what they got, and fair play to them. As I say, it was testament to the cars and the car prep to have all them cars finish the way they did, because literally they're trying to pull themselves apart from the beginning of the first stage, and it's some going to keep a car going, never mind on the road.
And Ollie, it's exactly the same for a Class 13 car. You might not just have quite the same power, but it's a lot of pressure going through the whole engine, the whole drivetrain, everything. For trying to keep all that on the road for 3 days.
Especially the half shafts.
No, it's 3 days of total torture, to be honest. I mean, the rally, it's the longest event, is it? 3 days, and even with it, you'd almost consider it being an endurance, but it's very much like from the word go, it's a sprint. Like everybody out the hurdles is on the ball straight away, and if you're caught sleeping, like you can find yourself dropping a lot of time very quick. So you have to be on it from the word go, and you just trying to keep the car together and in one piece. That's a challenge in its own right, and then having to do everything else alongside that.
And you had some battle with the two Barrys, Barry McLaughlin and Barry McBride, then as well too, yourself and Kyle. Like it was a titanic battle over the 3 days.
The battle, I mean, fair play to the two Barrys. Like they come out on top in the end, and they drove a fantastic rally, and the battle was pretty much from the word go for 3 days solid. There was after day 2, I think there was 6 seconds in it, so pretty much nothing in it. And then going into the Sunday, it was a case of what do we do here? Do we go out and attack it, or do you sort of just kind of just see how you go? And you know what it's like. As soon as you put the helmet on, it's like, right, we'll go for this. And then my own fault really in the morning on Sunday, like the weather again. That's another thing probably wasn't mentioned. You have so many factors like the 3-day event, and then you've got the weather as another implement. You had 2 days of pure sun, and then Sunday morning it was lashing down, and it's like in the back of your head you're like, oh, it's going to be wet, and then you head out to the stages. We got out to Carn Hill and it was bone dry. Just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, how difficult was that trying to make the decision on tires on Sunday morning?
Well, for me personally, I mean, I'm never great in that situation. Like if I see it lashing down with rain, I just think to myself, it's a wet. You don't really take into consideration, there's 2 days of pure, 28 degrees sun. The tarmac's really hot, and the breeze was up as well. And in the back of your head, you're sort of always trying to play it safe. And the next thing you know, obviously once the rain had passed, with the tar temperature was already up and the breeze, it just dried instantly. Like I would say, it was never really wet. There was never standing water. It's a tough call to make for sure, and a lot of it is probably a lottery, and maybe the locals probably know a bit better than me, but it's one of those things.
And Aaron, did you feel that was something that affected you on the Sunday morning? Was there a decision to be made in tyres, or was it pretty much a straightforward, it'll be fine, it'll dry up here?
I'd always be fairly conscious of the wet weather, and I'd always play it safe. I'd rather be softer for the wet weather and try and manage it on the dry, because I just don't like the car, if you're heavy braking and the front of it breaks away, or you can't get stopped, you're heading for a chicane, you can't get stopped. I'd always try and play it softer on the front. And probably should have known that along the coast it was going to dry, but I played it soft. And then when I come into service, I looked at the back tyres, and I folded my phone, they were just melted off the car. But probably this first corner and fanning where we spun and we burnt them off, it didn't help it either. But I'd rather be playing it safe on damp conditions than going a risk, And I was talking to other boys, and they said, if you can manage Carn Hill, surely it's going to be dry out the far side. But I wasn't really willing to take that chance, I'd rather be safe on the wet road and try and manage it on the dry road. So
yeah, and Derry, even from a co-driver's point of view, you'd done the recce and the dry, and all you'd seen up to that point was a dry road. Whenever even if you're doing it in a dry road, do you kind of be looking out for there could be somewhere there could be shiny tar and things like that?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Well, you'll see shiny tar on a dry road, but not as much as if you do a wet recce. It's easier to do a wet recce and do a dry rally than a dry recce and a wet rally,
Right.
But it's a gamble. You just have to take it corner by corner and just hope for the best, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just a bit. I was always a wee bit cautious of that Cairn Hill on Sunday morning because it was under trees and it was narrow and it was a wee bit dirtier and there was more shiny tar on it. There was a different characteristics of that stage compared to the other two that were out in the coast or more abrasive, you know.
Yeah, and like, that is probably one of the things about Donegal. Like, you know, all 3 days were different characteristics, but even within that, there was different characteristics of each of the stages.
Yeah, that's right. Generally, the surface was very good, like as good as you'd have anywhere, and wasn't much gravel to be seen. And like them stages along the coast were class. Malin and all them were unbelievable. Like good surface and all them. And just going back to that Cairn Hill, I was just never wasn't that keen on it, so it wasn't whatever was about it, but I just didn't really like it.
and Derry, the spin in front of the cameras on Fanad as well too. Like it was a lovely. You could think it was textbook spin. It looked as if he was almost trying to do it.
The mood wasn't great after that. Now,
and that was early on in the stage too, so it was. So it was, and then we spun and Fanad the second time too, and I thought to myself, that's it, it's gone now. And I went down to the next junction and I could see the dust rising and I says, I think Garrett's after spinning here, so he is, because the dust was still in the air, so
Twice.
it was. And then when we went up the road another bit, I could actually see you in the distance, and I says, I think I'm okay here. I'll just try and get to the end.
What part of Fanad did you spin at the house? Me and Frank, or was somewhere else?
Just after where you were there, the square lift downhill after the creamery. Or the I overshot that junction, went down the hill. It was a crossroads, was it? No, the square lift just after where you spun.
Yeah,
we spun at the hardware, you know, the hardware, and then square left down. And then you must have spun at the next junction.
You went down across the bridge, then up Lower Hill. No, you're coming down onto a fast spot there in the square right. You were like past the pillar. You were able to outbrake myself coming down the hill and shot it across the road and down the. Just as well, it was a crossroad, not a wall. Been straight.
I could see the dust rising in that junction, and I had a fair idea in my head that somebody was after spinning or something.
We were perfect up to that hardware store, and then we spun, and then we tried to get it back, and then spun again. And I went, that's it. Forget about it.
Were you two directly behind each other on the road?
Yeah, we were right. Yeah.
Ah, so that was exciting then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It wasn't exciting in my car anyway. There were a man sitting beside me, didn't think that stage was going to end. Settle down, just get it to the end. He said, he's already has you caught. I can see him coming up the hill. I go, Jesus, that didn't help matters. 19 stages, not a wheel wrong, and spun twice in the last.
But I think a lot of modified by spun in the last stage.
I think they were too much rubber on the braking points. And when you went too hard,
melting tar.
There were nothing there to break on.
Yeah, melting tar. The tar was melting and the tires were melting and everything was melting. Like there was several off in that junction or that corner that we and you spun on.
John, as you say, Frank, John thing went on there.
It is a wee bit disappointing, but that somebody wasn't slowing us down for that. You know.
And then my car died out then, and she was at warm, she wouldn't start.
Bitch.
Sure.
Mine didn't get a chance today. They had the foot to the headlight.
I've seen that. Their rubbers played away.
She wasn't gonna stall on me, that's for sure. But she didn't want to move. But that next corner where Derry and Aaron spun, it was like a bottle as well. It was really slippy and around that, really slippy.
And that's normally traditionally quite grippy and along there, but as you say, it's just been the combination of heat over the past week leading up to the rally, and then
where we spun there, you're coming out over a bumpy crest, and like I've done that enough times to know you don't brake till you see the corner. But as soon as I seen the corner, I went, "Nah, we ain't making that, not a chance." And I didn't even know. Even when the stage was over, I didn't know that John Armstrong was off there until we watched back our in car. And as we're spinning around, you'd see John Armstrong parked up the side of the house, standing looking at us. What the fuck are they doing?
I thought about that stage so many times from then to now, and I've had it on this, I had it on that. I go, just shut up, would you now? Just go to your work.
And do you be counting the seconds almost in your head, like when you say the car wouldn't start again? Do you almost feel it slipping away from you?
Oh, well, look, whenever we got to the end, whenever it was all said and done, I think there were 10 seconds between me and Aaron. And I counted the spun, and that was 10, and that starting was maybe 6. And then when I spun the second time, that was another 7 or 8. And I go, it was just mental torture. Mental torture. For days after.
It's a good job you're not smart. Imagine if you had a brain, you'd be depressed now.
Hey, listen. I don't think smart has been. If you're going to be I'm going to drive one of them cars through Donegal, I don't think anybody's really too smart driving. Can't be smart to drive.
A brain's not required. It's not part of the application.
No. They need to be slightly different now to be driving them things at them speed like that.
And Derry, if never you had to spin, and could you start to see Gareth appearing, or was this or could you almost sense it coming? Something happening in the car there at that point?
Well, the spin only cost us. What did it cost us, Aaron? Maybe 4 seconds.
Yeah,
it wasn't much, like.
No.
But it felt like about 15 or 20, like, but
right.
We went down to that second junction there where Gareth spun, and I seen the tire smoke, whatever, and I didn't really know what to think. It could have been anyone, like, but we went out over a bit of a hill, then we could see Gareth. So I didn't pull him back a whole pile, because at the same time Gareth could have taken that time back very fast from there to the finish, like, So we just trucked away fairly steady, like, there was nothing drastic, but it still wasn't slow at the same time, So, and I think we still beat our first time over it, Aaron. I think.
Yeah, but I remember saying to Derry, I think I can see him in the distance, and Derry says he doesn't get angry too much or cheer at me, but he just said, just fucking concentrate to the finish, keep the head, and don't pass any remarks on it. And he was probably right, because when you do see a car in front of you, it can be a wee bit off-putting, and maybe you don't listen to the navigator and don't process all the information, and like
you're not happy until you're on his back bumper.
But you do have to listen to the navigator, and like, you can't let that get to you. You sort of have to blink it out, that sort of a way.
Yeah, because you've drove 19 stages up to that point, and as you've all said, with no dramas, no fuss, and it was it was the wrong time to start trying to do something different.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, on Sunday morning when we seen Gallagher pulled in, when we passed him, I thought to myself, not another day's race. And I goes, because I was happy enough to take second or third or whatever way it worked out that day. You know what I mean? After the first stage, I goes, we're going to have to go at it again today. I was sort of tired after two.
That's exactly what happened. Once we passed Gallagher, and I went, fuck. Jesus, pressure. And then I got the end of the stage, and Kellyanne said, you're leading it. I went, I don't want to know anymore. The pressure was starting to build after 3 days.
Exactly. 2 tough days, and then started another third day. Whatever way it worked out, I was happy enough. And then it goes, we're going to have to knuckle down again for a third day. So
that's exactly what you're on about, the navigator telling you to calm down. I passed the egg. I went, fuck me. So Justin said, just concentrate till you get to the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Concentrate till you get to the end. I'd go, right, okay.
But Frank, we've seen this so many times in Donegal. Like, somebody can just turn the whole thing on its head. Like, you could be starting out on Sunday morning 6th, and suddenly you'd be up to 2nd or 3rd.
That's correct. Obviously, 3 long days. The funny thing is, the last 2 or 3 years, it's been the opposite. As everybody's kept going and everybody's whole station, you drive your nuts out in your 8th or 9th or 10th or whatever. This year was a bit different. The whole thing exploded big time. There was a fair attrition rate. There was dropouts. There was people going off, and it became a lottery, which was right up my street. Lottery away. Let's spin the dice. It's like the running joke in our car. Like 2 years ago, just when you're talking about going into Cairnhill in the wet, because we had a puncture on the first day 2 years ago, we had lost 3 minutes or something, so we didn't lose, and I put full wets on the whole way around, full wets. And I'll never forget it. I remember going over to the Cooper truck, 4 full wets. What do you want 4 full wets for? I'm going out to Cairnhill. But nobody's putting full wets on. I know, that's why I'm doing it. So we put four full wets on. It was pissing out the road, and it was bone dry in the stage, and just melted the buggers off. It was like 2 4 balls in the back of her at the front first junction. So the running joke in the car all weekend, in the blazing sunshine on Friday and Saturday, I kept saying to Lauren, it's time for the full wets. It's time for the full wets. And then Sunday morning, she says, right, it's time for the full wets. I says, nah, I am not doing that again. I'm not putting wets in this car. And probably because of that screw up 2 years ago, it paid off. And then we were fit to get going forward, and we had a couple of good times in the early part of the day. And then obviously Fanad is Fanad. But it's a finisher's rally. But as the lads say, you have to be to the blocks like Usain Bolt on Friday morning.
You can't be sleeping. I haven't found that out.
No, you have to be flat out, and it's not easy to do that for 3 days. And one of these yokes keep them going. And at the end of the day, lads, we're all amateurs. We all have to go to work on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, wherever we sober up. We still have to go to work. So it's good going for any of the lads, all them lads, and Aaron especially, and Gareth. You know, not being smart, but relative newcomers to Donegal, relatively new to Donegal. It's not fucking fair. You should have to do 20 years before you're like, I've only done 15 or 16 years, so I'm still waiting. But to have it all to come together for them 3 days and everything to fall in line, the right tyre choices at the right time, the right car, the right service crew, the right team in the car, the right notes. It's some going to put that all together and to get there in a modified car. I think it's a much more of an achievement than it is in a modern R5 car. And that's no disrespect to the rest of the lads, but I think it's some achievement to do that and to win the modified.
Yeah, because the two guys have only recently stepped up to class 14 as well too.
Yeah,
and it's not an easy transition. It's not a simple step. There's a lot involved in going up to a class 14 car.
There's a lot of it, and to be fair for Gareth, you could see that coming because you got a couple of good results there lately, but there was a lot of times where you were just on the cusp of it and some wee thing went wrong, but you could see the speed was there, but it wasn't on paper. But you could see that was coming, and I had you marked as a dark horse. Right, need to watch that bastard. He's going to be going hard. I don't know Aaron very well, but I did see that he stepped up from class 13 to 14 and was flying in class 13, and he's in a starlet. They're inherently a quick car, so it was no surprise to see that at the same time, and string that together for 3 days. Fair play, good going from all the lads. Good going.
No, it was tight racing all weekend. Like there were nobody walking away with it, only for Cavenger, and look what happened. It's over there.
There was great crack. There was great banter and great crack the whole weekend too. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
A bit of crack,
you were wild hating them cars. Jeez, the heat and them yachts.
Yeah. You see, the heat doesn't bother me. I get into a puddle of sweat very quickly, and I just stew in my own juices for the rest of the day. Not a bother, boy. Not a bother.
Yeah, lethal.
But to be fair, Lauren is worried about me dehydrating because I sweat. I come out with white streaks on my shirts and stuff. It's like salt coming out of your body. So she's firing stuff into me left, right, and centre. And I think it was like 4 gallons of stuff she put through me over the weekend. Literally 4 gallons. Unreal.
And Frank, by the time you get to Sunday, is it just pure you're running on adrenaline at that stage?
I'm not being smart, but I could have went out on Monday, no bar. Literally could have went on Monday, no bar. You see, 10, 12 years ago, by the time I got to Sunday, I was an autopilot. I couldn't even think straight. But I've changed a lot of things to make it better. And I tell you what, it's fair how it's standing to me because I felt this fresh Sunday morning as I did Friday morning. Genuinely, I could write Monday and Tuesday and done the game. It's just like that. But you need to be like that, from them cars and the even with power steering and all the bits and pieces, squanching gearboxes, there's still a bit of handling to be done. And the heat, as Gareth said, like our next rally is in Australia on the 2nd of August now. It's a gravel rally, 1 day, 175 stage kilometres in 1 day. So you need to be fit, and I don't know I don't think it'll be particularly hot because August's not their summertime or anything. But who knows what the fuck it'll be like? There'll be kangaroos bouncing about, so it could be warm enough. But
not be cold, only Frank. Definitely won't be cold. Definitely not.
But no, it's a young man's game, so you have to work hard at trying to keep up with the youngsters and try and wear them down. There was just 3 of them I didn't get wearing down.
Because the pace on Sunday, the pace on Friday and Saturday was incredible, but Sunday was just another level in the 14 battle. It really was. I
think the stages, especially, apart from Atlantic Drive, the stages suited to class 14. Fanad suits a class 14 car. It's probably the nicest feeling in the world is going through a dry Fanad in a class 14 with the right tyres on. There's nothing can beat that. There's nothing to beat that.
Fanad or Knockall has to be probably the best two stages.
Knockall for me for definite.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan.
I never was a big fan of Knockall, but see, over the last 2 or 3 years, I've really got into Knockall. It's scary as fuck, like going out over the looking at the sea.
Coming down the first bit when you start to come down, you get around that 4 and 4 again. I breathe a bit then, and then I just once you get around them two on the way down, I'll be happy enough. But coming down them, I don't care who you are. If you're not nervous coming to that, but you're definitely on.
See, that's where you went wrong, Gareth. Aaron had that marked as a 5.
I think he had a whole Atlantic Drive marked at 5s.
I was the same. The minute I got past the water on Knockall, I was happy enough. So I was, and got onto the narrow and tight and twisty stuff, I was a bit happier. So it was, because there's some of them corners, you know, I think there were like 3 rights and all that there, and they were bumpy, and it was a lot. Coming down the far side was a lot bumpier than I expected, you know, that sort of way, and the car was moving a lot more than I anticipated, and I was quite content when we got through that chicane at the bottom and up into the narrow stuff. Was far happier. So
there's a fast section when you come off a mountain now, when you go down towards that shed. That is a bit of a fast section, then, to be fair. But
you'll find any class 14 car or class 13 on the limiter in 6th gear tends to move about a lot. when the tops of the windows are wagging the wings on a rooster or something, you're thinking, we're going fast enough.
And Aaron, how have you found the transition from class 13 up to class 14?
It obviously doesn't suit him.
You think you should draw back?
I think he's really struggled, to be honest.
I actually went from 1600 to 2 litre, and I didn't find it that big, but I find it probably a bigger jump from 2 litre to 2.5. The first day I took the car for a spin, I think it was a Friday before Midland Rally. I was only ready the day before, and I got 2 laps, and I got out of the car, and I said to the boys, I'm clean done here. Between trying to keep this yoke in a straight line and keep gears pulled to it, I was juiced. So I was after about 15 minutes of tough going. But I just find that's the biggest thing, just getting traction and trying to drive it and trying to drive tidy. Like my second run over Atlantic Drive, I thought it actually wasn't as good, but it was far tidier and far cleaner. But you know, but it's funny.
You know, 15 of me, I think it was handed off.
But it's like I was watching it. I was up the gears and driving the car and not being rash, and you know, not spinning wheels and getting out of junctions and not over aggressive on the handbrake. And that's the biggest change, I think, is trying to, you know, keep the momentum going. You know, I don't think I'm going around corners. I used to go around corners as hard in the 2 litre, and I could hold on, you know, and be brave, but I'm not probably just as brave in the 2.5. It's just the traction bit that's getting me a bit with the 2.5, you know.
I feel the stuff when we moved to 2.5, the stuff just comes at you a lot faster. The bends come on you a lot quicker, and it's just the whole that just comes at you a hell of a lot.
It's interesting what you say, like about, you know, driving up a gear. You know, I find especially in the class 13 car, like on the slower corners, especially, like you're trying to carry as much speed as possible, just because, you know, the next straight you just need to be, you know, you need to be away from it as quick as you can. And you know, if obviously I'm not saying it's like necessarily, you know, in the 2.5 it's like point and squirt stuff, but like it's interesting that you say, you know, the traction is hard to find. You don't really consider that. You only think, it's peak horsepower and, you know, bolt an engine and away you go. But there are, like you say, so many factors.
No, I noticed that, like, when I was in the 2 litre, I if it was a 3 right or something like that, I'd commit to it and try and carry as much speed around it. Since I moved to 2.5, definitely not going around it any harder, but I'm probably just getting to the next corner quicker.
Yeah.
The first night I actually got the engine in and mapped, I took it up the road for a bit of a spin, and I had a pair of work boots on me, and the lights wouldn't be great in the car, and it was a bit foggy, and I think it went about 250 metres, and I turned and went home, and I goes, that's not safe. I'll wait till it's dry and I can see where I'm going. Because it was just I must have got to the first corner and far faster than I used to ever get to it in the 2 litre. So I just turned and went home and waited for a dry day, you know. But now,
you need a through the corner.
the only thing now is that the neighbours realise now that, well, after a bit of a result, and they see it in the paper that I'm not out messing around the roads, you know, to understand what's going on now, you know. It's not a young boy out playing with his card, you know, that sort of way, like.
That boy's out diffing again.
Yeah, but anyway, all I generally ever do is just go up the road 2 or 3 miles and make sure everything was all right. I wouldn't even rev the car, just make sure nothing would fall off or everything was tight, you know, and just make sure brakes was working and maybe bed in brakes, and that'll be about the height of it. Like, I'd never.
I wasn't there now, but I would say you'd be revving her now. I don't believe that for 1 minute. Especially having steel dual cab boots on.
Well, would you boys not be changing your notes now, going from 13 to 14? I know I changed my notes a lot back in the day when I went 13 to 14 because, like you say, things are coming at you quicker and you're getting the corners quicker. You're not going around the corner any quicker, and some corners are not flat anymore because you're actually got more power to carry around it. Took me a while to work out. I had a few things before I worked out what was flat in the class 13 is not flat in the 14 anymore. Because you'll be riding at a 10 mile an hour more for starters. But I changed my notes a fair bit. A lot of the distances disappeared. It was just into or on. Distances, if it's anything under 100, it just disappears too quickly. Like, it's just gone. So rather than having to think about that, it's just and into and just keep the corners coming, you know. But everybody be different. It depends.
We did change a lot now that you said that, to be fair. Killian's not particularly hardy. The stuff just comes on you too quick and you just take most of the stuff out, to be honest. You try and simplify what you have to be, what has to be called, because you're going that fast, you need it.
Yeah. And it's brain power too, depending on how much brain power you have. Like that separates us from the professionals probably, and what they can take in. You know, the proper professionals, what they can take in and put into action. Whereas I'm looking for the bare basics, get me through this thing and keep me alive.
100%. You know?
And Derry, are you finding that you're having to tweak and revise what you're doing?
Not a whole pile really, to be honest, though. Sure, as Aaron said there, like, you know, the corner speed is still the same, and the straights are just coming up a bit quicker. Like, you know, the corners are coming quicker, but the straights finish faster because they're getting to the end of the straight faster. But we didn't change a whole pile, no. Nothing, if anything, to be honest.
Are you finding a big difference even from the passenger seat? Do you physically feel the car going a lot faster? Between the corners.
Yeah, like I've been in 2.5s before, but I was with Aaron in the class 13 last year, and he put in the 2.5 for Midlands, and I remember pulling up to the first stage in Midlands, and Aaron just put down the shoe to warm the tyres and stuff like that, and it just sinks you back in the seat, and you're just thinking, what am I in for here? Like, you know, but when you're on the stage, it's different. Then, you know, you're concentrating and all that, but when you're not, you know, when you're just sitting in the car and you're just watching what's ahead of you, and he puts down the shoe, it's actually fairly frightening, to be honest.
better not looking out.
Yeah.
And Oli, you've been a very strong supporter of Class 13 over the last few years. Would it be something that you'd be thinking of, maybe going up 2.5?
For definite, it's been spoken about and just hummed and had, and don't really know what the route to go, to be honest. Class 13 is quite strong, and there's probably, it could be one of 5 of us that could, potentially win the class, and it's really competitive racing. Equally, Class 14 is, if not stronger. Again, it just comes down to, at the moment, with the car, deciding whether to let it go as a Class 13 car and try and get out of that, and maybe look at trying to either find another car or build one, or to obviously modify mine. But to modify my own car is gonna, it's gonna take a lot of gutting and a lot of changes would need made. And it's almost like, is it worth the expense to go that route, or is it, easier to sell it as, a class car and then go a different route?
There's a Ramley grey one for sale there.
I'm going to start it.
Everyone is ready for you, Gareth, is he?
Aaron, are you selling a startup?
No. Funny, that car reminds about a long time. think Paddy McVeigh owned it way back in the day, and then my father bought it off him, and Dad built another one for himself, and then when I was about 18, I started off with it, a twin cam engine and a 5-speed Tran Xbox, and kept tipping along over the years with a few pound by bits and pieces, and changed from just Krunching gearbox, and then done a bit of junior rallying, and then lucky enough COVID came in, and I know it wasn't great, but it suited me down to the ground. I had time to build me rally car, so, and I had a few pounds saved up. There was no rallying going on, so I changed it to a 2 litre then, and then I had an idea in my head last year that I was going to change again to 2.5, and then I sort of planned it for the start of this year, and I was in the back of my head last year, and I'm happy I done it, and I was happy I raced in 2 litre for 2 or 3 years too. I really enjoyed it too. I used to race Oli too, and never could really handle him actually. I only ever raced him twice or 3 times, and he got the better of me twice or 3 times, so he did. But
we'll keep him in a 2 litre then. So are you gonna go R5 the same as Gareth there?
No, I'm a modified man. I said when I bought that engine at the start of the year, that's me done. So that'll do me for 4 or 5 rallies a year and keep tipping away at it. I'm happy enough with it.
Aye, right.
You've heard all this before, Frank.
No, I like the bit of modifying and engineering involved with a modified car and enjoy it, and we do a right bit of work ourselves, and it's nice to see it running and staying going, that sort of way.
It's such a big family thing for you as well. There's your father, obviously, then yourself and your brothers competing now as well too. So it's a whole family experience for you as well.
Yeah. Well, so Dad would have been involved in rallying years ago and done a right bit of rallying, and then organised rallies and got back into it. And now he's not. He does a bit now, but he wouldn't be fit to do it. But he would have got us into it, and we'd always had an interest in it. And Ben's now in 2 litre as well, and I've a notion he only changed this year too. There was a lot of work going on at the start of the year. There was 2 transplants done and a bit of modifying, and he didn't make the first rally, but I'd say when he gets the yoke sorted, it'd be hard enough to handle too. So he's fairly competitive. I'm easy going. If it goes my way, it goes my way. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But he'll try and make it go his way, that sort of way. He'd take it a bit serious. So.
Derry, you have a kind of a wry smile there, is he? That easy going whenever every second's counting.
Easy enough going, alright, yeah.
But
I'm definitely missing this easy going back there. I'm missing this altogether now because I was driving the balls that thing.
No, there was nothing ever restaurant inside in the car ever. With Aaron, it's always been fairly calm, and as he said, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Before even Donegal there, we said we'll tip away and we'll enjoy ourselves. Like if we get a top 5, we get a top 5. If we don't, we don't. We gain a bit of experience or something like that.
That's one thing Derry said is right. We gained a bit of experience, and it was great to do 20 stages. Like we drove 20 stages ourselves. We never got blocked once or stopped once, and like even the organisation of the rally too. Every junction you went to, there was guards there. Like you felt like you could trust them, and they'd help you out. And it was a well organised event for competitors. That sort of way. We were never stuck in traffic or nothing like that.
Yeah, because Frank, that's something that I think that the club has put a big effort into this year, the last few years. But it's really starting to come together between themselves, the Garda, the local county council and all. The rally flows a lot better, and even for obviously for you guys competing, but even for spectators this year, it seems to be a lot easier.
I don't know how they managed that. They obviously had a massive plan in place, but as the lads will probably agree, even Park Fermy in the evening, you could get out of Park Fermy in your road car and get back up to the hotel or get out to your digs or wherever you needed to go. I was surprised. I was thinking, Jesus, is there less people here or is there less footfall? But the stages were packed. I haven't seen Nagala. The first one up in Nagala was unbelievable. The crowds about it. I've never seen crowds that big. So the crowds were there, but whatever traffic plan they had in place, it worked. And generally, everybody seemed to be behaving themselves. You probably understand, lads, when you get in the rally car and they're waving you down past, and the guards are letting you out, and you're a bit white line it down the road to get in where you need to be, and everything's great. Then you get into your Skoda Yeti and driving out of Park Fermi, and you still think you're in the rally car. First of all, you forget that it's not a sequential. And then you're pulling out the white line and go, Jesus, no, I can't do that. So it's a bit of, and then go home in the van's even worse. The shuttle on the back. But no, that is well under control. The thing run like clockwork. We run out of sync on Saturday. Losses, we got 2 notional times because of it, but do you know what? It would have made no difference in the overall result. We had stopped on stage 6 with a competitor and then lost a couple of minutes, but for some reason they made us run like 20 cars back then on Saturday, which left us getting caught up in other people's things. But you know what? As I say, it made no difference to the result of the event. We still had the ball, we still had a great crack. It's really enjoyable rally. I really enjoyed every mile, every kilometre. Class stages, class weather. Just you couldn't beat it.
Yeah, and you always come out of Donegal saying that's it, not do it again next year. But this time you're saying you are going back again.
No, definitely not. Never doing it again. Never, ever doing Donegal again until maybe April or May next year. No, I think next year. You know what? I've the nut cracked. You know the way Friday's always my bad day. Well, the historics don't do Friday. So I could do Saturday and Sunday.
Going there.
I was historic, yeah.
Do you think they take a 2.5 from the historics at this stage?
Well, what CC is the BM M3s? They're 2.5, aren't they?
They're 2.3, yeah.
Well, that's near enough.
You're playing?
Power steering, and nobody would even notice a sequential sneaked in. I saw like John O'Donnell was going quite hard in that M3. If you look at his stage times, you know he could have competed in class 14, but that's John O'Donnell right enough. But no, the M3's going very hard, and he started thinking about banning them. Them and starlets. And anybody with a ginger beard. And anybody with an English accent. I think if we got that all sorted out, we could win Donegal. And on that bombshell.
Oli, you're like a Donegal veteran almost at this stage now. You've done it a few times. What, you know, like this year it really had all the classic stages. You know, you had the Friday, you had Malmore, like they're turning into classics already. And then into Saturday, you know, you had the, you know, Donegal, the Glen. Sunday you had Fan Atlantic Drive. It really ticked all the boxes this year.
Yeah, for definite. I mean, you say it as if I'm a local, but no. Like last year, I think was the first year we did like the Malin and Mamore Gap. I think the year before we were in Donegal Town.
Yeah.
So the Friday was obviously new for me last year, but it was nice to have done it last year. And I hadn't done a lot in the car really last year. I did Mull there in October, and then I sort of took a notion that I was going to get stuck in the work, and then I wasn't going to do too much this year. And then something in the back of my head says, well, we'll just go and do Donegal. Why not? It was like, right, we'll go and do that. So I hadn't even looked at anything. I hadn't even looked at the regs, or I didn't know, you know, didn't know what to expect on the Friday. And then, until we went to Recce, and I was like, shit, I did this last year. Like, obviously knew when we were heading out that way, but, you know, I was quite chuffed, and the stages were just in real good condition. And like the lads said, like the event just ran, you know, as smooth as anything, and everyone was willing to muck in, you know, whether it be spectators, even on road sections, you know, they'd see a car come up on them and, you know, they'd indicate and try and let you past, and like everybody was just trying to keep the rally moving, and it was just really good.
And Gareth, you know, you said you're almost a local man, you're just living a few miles away from Letterkenny. Like, you see what it brings to the area too. Like, it is, you know, it's something that we need to shout about.
No, well, I looked up you couldn't get moving there. You can't even get a hotel room, and then there are people staying in tents, and then we met people along the road staying in camper vans. They just pulled up on the grass verge, you know. Like, it's a highlight of my year too. Like, I wouldn't miss it unless I didn't have a car to go and do it. Like, Donegal would always be the highlight of my year. We would always get a couple of rallies done to try and get competitive for Donegal, and probably now after it'll be sort of the wind down. Now I'll probably get a couple of rallies maybe done towards the end of the year, but Donegal is always the big one for me. Like even from when I was 14 or 15, I think I had a cycle up to one of the stages because it was nearby. And from then, it's just been.
You didn't meet Aaron cycling around Greenwich.
No, hey, that was actually a bit of a shock to me there today. I was wondering why he was so fast on Atlantic Drive. You don't have to send me that address till I see where you live. No, but hey, I wouldn't miss it. I would do it every year because God spares me.
Yeah, and Derry, you said that about the young lad growing up and watching this rally and going getting the chance to compete for the 3 days. Like, was it everything you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, if not better. Like, sure, with that result, you can only praise it. Like, even if we didn't get that result, you couldn't fault it. Like as everybody said there, like the running of the rally, everything, traffic, stages. I know it's a long day, long 2 days, and then you have the shorter day Sunday, but it's definitely worth it, 100%.
All tire bills and fuel bills are coming at you now. Look, I think of 10 we morning about 6 we Adrian and I going, Jesus.
I just told 10 of the Donegal tires I was trying to get them out through the door before this podcast started. You're going to have to leave. Well, I'm thinking, Jesus, that's great, but I still haven't got the bill for the bastards. I don't know. It's about 5 times what I just got for them.
100%. It's unbelievable. I love it every year. I have the wife warranty. See, June, don't be booking any holidays or do this. I'll not be around most of June, so just.
Good luck.
It's not really a great topic inside the house, but when you get out the front door and you go, yes.
You do realise you could probably watch this podcast.
It's the first time I've ever seen it at the finish ramp of my life. What are you doing here?
You need to start taking her with you. You say, look at Frank Kelly's woman. She's trying to sell stuff to buy a tire. You want to say that's why none of the wives talk to her because she's just like a pariah to them. Look at that bitch on there selling. You can't beat them. Join them.
Aaron, I suppose then last question to yourself, like, same as more or less the same as Derry, like you've been, watched this event, you've wanted it as a child and kind of, is it a dream come true to win the rally?
Oh, most definitely is, yeah. Didn't expect to be anywhere near it this year at all. I have plenty of memories of Donegal too. I remember watching Colin McRae going backwards down through, I think it was Carnhill too in the metro, and I think it was Loeb there one time in the Citroen as well, and I've plenty of memories of Donegal and dreamed about it, and delighted to come away with a good result, and very proud of it too. And my father's very proud of it, and everyone's very proud of it at home. They all know the hard work that's sort of involved in it, and we're probably away from Wednesday before the rally and away the weekend before the rally, and I have to thank everyone at home too, the boys that prepped the car as well, and people that looked after us in service, and they all had great faith in us and they wanted us to do well. So I'm just over the moon we got a result for them too. That sort of a.
Yeah. And then this man here as well, Derry, that sat beside you, like he put probably as much effort and more effort into it than yourself.
I texted him on Wednesday. I says we'll might recce Saturday and Sunday. And that's I have a 2-hour trek, but it's just a 6-hour trek for him to Donegal, and we recce'd Saturday and Sunday, and he went back home Sunday night. So he 12 hours drove that weekend just up and down the road. So fair play to him too. He was very accommodating. He sort of done when he done it to suit me because I wanted to go to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so it'd sort of have all well sorted for the weekend of the rally, that sort of way, and then back up the road Wednesday night again. So, that's not easy either. Like,
I'm sure you agree with us. That was some crack, Connor.
Oh, like brilliant! Just you know what? Like it's so competitive between these guys on the stages, but just the banter between them. They are all decent blokes and good friends. Outside of the cars.
That's for sure, that's for sure. And then also then Neil Roskell, you know, we've seen the way he's come over here. He knows he's not going to be the fastest, but he's just loving his rallying, Conor, and he's always just, he's one of them good guys that's always a bit of banter and a bit of crack with him.
Yeah, look, lovely guy, lovely lad, and it's great to see him taking on the full ITRC as well. You know, he's not just coming over here, dipping in and out of one or two events. He actually is, you know, going for the whole challenge this year, and be interesting to see how his year pans out for him.
Yeah, that's for sure. And like, you know, we get the pleasure of meeting him in Donegal this year on the Thursday evening. Like, Gow had never spoke to him in my life before. We stood and chatted to him for 15, 20 minutes, and it's just like you felt you'd known him your whole life.
That's it. No, it was lovely to see himself and the wife there. And yeah, you're right. You know, we just took the time out to stop us and chat to us, and just, you know, a guy that loves his rallying and loves competing over here as well.
That's for sure, that's for sure. So I'm going to hear from Neil now, and he wanted to start off by paying tribute to Dai Roberts, you know, a good friend and the co-driver he had in the car with him last year. You lost a very good friend in the last few weeks. We all know how difficult rallying can be sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Losing Dai was a big shock for all of us, you know, in our rallying circle, and it's been hard. It's been very hard. It's hit me a lot. It's fetched up some memories from my son. Yeah, it's been very hard, and you know, I've even got to the point is we've just put him to rest the other day, last weekend, and the outpouring of people, they just giving pay, just everything. It showed that Dai was, you know, a top lad. He sat in with me all last year. We had some great times, and he, you know, he picked me up when I was at my lowest and pushed me on, and that was Dai all over. You know, really wanted to do everything for everyone. So it's been hard. It's been hard for all of us, and James as well. And you know, James is slowly, you know, getting better. So yeah, I think I just can't believe how many people it's, you know, affected, you know, in the rallying community.
Yeah, because he was such a character, you know, he was just loved by everybody. Like, he had that kind of infectious personality, and like, he came over here to Ireland quite a bit, and you know, we all kind of felt we knew him as well too, and like, it's going to be a sad loss in the service area.
Yeah, definitely. He's sadly missed. I was even, you know, we were having a laugh and a joke before he went out, and we was, you know, having the crack with each other, and that was Dai all over, you know. But when he got in that car, he was serious, and he went, and he did a you know, fantastic job for me last year, and yeah, he's going to be sadly missed by all of us, definitely.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So, like, rest in peace, Gareth, and Dai as well too, and you know, deepest condolences to the whole family.
Yeah, definitely. And it was you know, the wake and everything. It was amazing how many people turned out for it, and you know, it was just so touching, you know. But he's, you know, he'll be proud. I didn't think we'd ever get to see where Dai could end up with a police escort to his. It was like 3 bikes in a car, and I'm like, how's this happened? But that was Dai all over, and it's like typical. It's like it was a 40-minute road section from where we set off to the crematorium, and I'm like, he's just done this on purpose. That's him all over. Yeah. It was an honour to be part of it, you know, to his wake and that. So
excellent. Yeah, so I suppose then the idea of having you on would have a chat about your commitment to the Tarmac Championship in 2025. How have you found it so far?
Amazing, but fast. Yeah. It's I've realised I'm too old. The speed you lads are carrying out there is just absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, I love it. You know, the whole atmosphere, you know, in the championship, everybody's so welcoming. I've never felt so welcome. Every single rally I go to, getting to know the drivers now. You know, I keep pulling the legs on some of them and just, you know, saying, can we finish the rally here because I'm beating you at the moment. Next days they've like took 10 out of me. So yeah, it's a learning curve for me this year. I want to, you know, I'm not as quick as them lads out there, but I'll just hold my own. I'm enjoying it. We're actually having fun and laughing, and you know, at the end of every rally, you know, we look forward to the whole rally. It's a big like holiday for us, realistically, to come to every round. But I'm just amazed by the pace. It shocked me. You know, it's like the top 10, top 15 lads are just flying. Well, everybody's flying. These Mark IIs, they're just unbelievable, aren't they? You know, I look at the times and think, have they done that? But I think for me, it's being able to just be part of it. You know, it's a bucket list thing that, you know, I want to do, and I want to do again next year. The buzz of it is fantastic, and it's an experience that it's worth having. You know, definitely.
I just think, you know, we sometimes we think we're caught up in our own wee bubble, and we think, oh, this is the best rally. But I think the rallying's very good, but it's the welcome that all the competitors get as well. I think that to me is the real standout. That no matter who you are, you get welcomed into the fold, because you know they all know the risks they're taking. They all know what they have done to get there. You know, and I think they appreciate other people coming and doing it as well.
Yeah, it's like I was getting, you know, I was talking to people and that at the rallies, and I had people coming up to me, complete strangers, and just saying, "Thanks for coming over and making it an international event." You know, they were thanking me for just getting over there and participating. They're not bothered where you come; they're just so glad you've come. And yeah, to me that was brilliant. I can, you know, be proud of, you know, of doing it and doing these mega rallies, and yeah, it's been an eye opener. But yeah, the people are great; they're fantastic.
For sure. And like, you know, I suppose we started at the start. West Cork, you know, the rally and over the last 10, 15 years, it was always kind of a hidden gem, but it's now part of the Tarmac Championship, and it has become probably one of the best rallies in the country. Epic stages. You talk about the welcome, the people of Clonakilty, probably one of the best rally communities in the country.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's like I did it 3 years ago, didn't get to finish the event. And then went this time. Obviously, Steve, the clerk of the course, it was so helpful because we didn't know what we were letting ourselves in for. We didn't even know whether we got a runner or anything. We're like trying to book ferries and everything because it's all different in Ireland to what it is anywhere else. And we're like, have we got a runner? It's like 2 weeks. What we doing? You know, and everything was great, but you know, they've been so helpful. And we get down there, and to me, West Cork, I was flying fifth going sideways down these lanes, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? I'm getting too old for this. Like, yeah, it was I've never gone out on a medium tyre at 7 degrees, but you do in West Cork. You know, the grip is phenomenal, and it's like, yeah, it's just mad. I was like, this is unbelievable. But you know, it was good to have the crack and, you know, battle with some of the local lads and that, and you know. I got to know quite a few, and you know, they've helped me on the way and give me advice and that. And I think it was at the point where there was that stage where you go down by the river, by the sea there. Oh, it's that famous one.
Oh, ring.
Down the ring. Yeah. And a couple of them said to me, "We don't need navigators for this." And I thought, what do we do here? And it was 3 years ago. I sat behind Will Crichton, and he was in his lesser car. What was it? The
Rally 3 car. Yeah.
Yeah, and he took 5 out of me, and I was in a rally 2. At the end of the day, you said, "This isn't fair," you know. And he said, "Don't worry." He said, we know that, you know, we know what the rally's like, and it was like a baptism of fire for me. But yeah, the speed at West Cork and the stages and everything are just absolutely unbelievable. Like it's definitely been an eye opener to me.
And then you come next up, then the Circuit Ireland, like fantastic stages, but unfortunately the weather gods just didn't play fair.
Yeah, I ran out of talent on that one. Yeah, definitely. Like I don't mind the rain; it doesn't bother me. But we went out and we did the first stage, just took it steady type of thing, and then we did some alterations. Got back out on the second stage, and I was starting to do a good time. I've checked my time since, and up to the point that I just come into that square right, and there was a lot of gravel on the thing, and I was just a bit too wide. And next thing I'm, you know, hitting a lamppost and making a mess of the car. But I had man flu that weekend. I was really bad. Right. Yeah, well, I really struggled with it. I think it must have been COVID again, because I was laid in my bed and I was sweating and everything, and Mrs. is saying I'm cold, and I was led in motorhome and just thinking, I can't do this. But yeah, I'm glad I did it. But yeah, just 2 stages and made a mess of it, destroyed the gearbox, panicking, getting into reverse. And yeah, it wasn't a good rally for me.
No.
And I don't think it was for a lot of people.
No.
You know, that what they were doing at the front, you know, they were changing all the time. Even to the last stage, it was like you didn't know who was going to, you know, be on the top 3 really. So.
Yeah, because there was at the penultimate stage, the sort of like the top 3 or 4. suddenly turned on its head, didn't it? You know, so
Yeah, it did, yeah.
yeah,
And the pool just started, falling by the wayside. And it's the same old thing at rallying, isn't it? You've got to be in it to win it. So
that's for sure. You have to be there to finish.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Killarney, then again, like the weather just was superb, and for the chance, like I've never even got the chance even to drive Moll's Gap in a road car. Like that must be something else. Sitting at the start of that, and of all the history that's involved in that bit of road.
Yeah, day one, brilliant, fantastic. Day two, I gets to the beginning of Moll's Gap and I've wrecked it, and literally we're following a wagon up at 30 mile an hour with about 8 cars in front of me. So we've but I couldn't get my lines, and I've watched the videos, and then when you drive up it, you're going, this is nothing like any video I've seen. It's like, oh my God. So we got to the beginning of the first stage, and I worked myself up, and I was very nervous, and we set off, and I think I was like quarter way in. Next thing I'm sideways hitting a bank and everything else, and we got away with it and got to the end of the stage, and I went, that was awful, because I knew I was too slow. I think they took a minute out of me because I just made a mess of it. Yeah. I lost me head on it and went to the next stage. That was really good. But to go up Moll's Gap, going back to Moll's Gap, going up there is just something else, isn't it? We went and watched the historics last year. We were stood at the top of there. To actually be competing going up there this time. Second run was I felt more comfortable, but yeah, I did. I think that's where I threw a lot of time away on that stage. So I think I need to go on holiday and go for a little run with Mrs. and just I was turning round.
Oh, we might go here again.
Not that I would do that, But we're going to go and see some scenery in Killarney.
In fact, we're in this road again.
yeah, definitely. But no, it's one of them. I think Moll's Gap and the other stage after it, it's one of them you've got to learn. And it's just like Knockalla, isn't it? The lads know it. They know the lines, and the speed they carry is unbelievable. And hats off to them, because I just don't know how they do it. But
yeah, and even yet every year they're always finding, they're shaving that wee bit off it every year. They're just refining it and refining it and refining it. Like it's almost turned into a racetrack the way it's going now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like you look at what Callum's done this time. He's just absolutely flown, and did everybody with it, and it's. I think that's the thing. It's they just they know them lines. They know where to carry speed. Where I'm lifting, they're just accelerating, and it's part of it, isn't it? And I think like there's other rallies over here that we would know, like my local stage, my local rally, and it's like that'd be the same. We'd be better, well, I wouldn't say better than the top lads, but you understand what I mean. So. Yeah, I think the big thing with Killarney was the atmosphere was again brilliant. Yeah. Everybody and like people are just stopping at roundabouts to let you through because you drive a rally car and they want you to keep going. It's just like, where's this come from? And police says, the guard, you come out of a junction. I've never seen this before. Over here you get arrested, but over there they stop the traffic and just wave you onto a main road and keep going. It's like because everybody wants that really to work because it fetches the money into the community.
I think they appreciate the money that's bringing into the local area. It's hotels are full, B&Bs are full, pubs are full, cafes, restaurants. And it filters right out through.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and the hospitality is brilliant. Like we stayed at a place and the bloke had his own business and it was about 2 months. Oh, just take the car up there and park it in there and fix it, do whatever you want. And we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Before it started at rally and just everybody just wants you to rally. And I think that's where you've been brought up young over there, and rallying is like I don't know, second sport, third sport in Ireland type of thing, and it's massive. Where in our country it's not like that. You're fighting to keep it going, whereas over there people are just you go into the service areas, Killarney, and like I've got little kids asking me for my autograph. I'm like, what's all that about? Like, get out of way, missus. Get out of way, a minute. A 4-year-old asked me for my autograph. No, the whole thing of it is fantastic, and they're in the service area, they're interested in what your car is, they're interested in what you're doing, and that's what it's about, it's the kids that make it. Yeah,
because we need that next generation too, don't we? Because we see it from our, out at events, marshalling and everything, that the age profile is getting that bit older, and we need to get those younger people involved and give them the interest to come and see what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's good. What I see with your academy and everything over there, it's fetching them young ones in and giving them a chance and an opportunity to go further. Because at the end of the day, it's an expensive sport, and they do need a leg up type of thing to give them a chance. Because there is some quick lads out there, and they're coming through now, and it's about giving them the opportunity. And to me, I love that. I love having crack with these young lads when we're on start line and everything. Just wind them up and everything, man. And that's what it's about. It's character building from all. So yeah, I do. I'm mad up with it.
Yeah, and I suppose then the other thing, and like Killarney has it, and so does Donegal, a ceremony will start the night before the event, and that brings in, into the middle of the town. It brings in that kind of party atmosphere, almost kind of thing as well.
Yeah, it's a good job. I don't drink the night before, really. Because the atmosphere is that good. You can just end up in a pub, couldn't you? I've been drinking Guinness, mate. But no, the whole thing of it's been great. When you look at it, the ceremonial starts, they're getting you in there. Everybody's cheering. It's like 4 or 5 people deep, behind the barriers watching. You couldn't ask for anything better than that. It's fantastic. And, they're applauding you. I think the biggest thing, one of the things with Donegal is when you finish the rally, people are stood at the side of the road, applauding you because they know that you finished the rally. Yeah. That's what it's all about. There's kids of like 3 years of age stood outside in the teachers have fetched them out and they're showing the kids and they're all clapping and everything. They haven't got a clue who we are, but they're supporting us. Yeah, and that's what it's about. So yeah, it's amazing, and yeah, it's I've said now with these rallies I'm doing there, I'm just so glad to come over and enjoy it because it's definitely a good atmosphere, especially on them start ramps. Yeah.
And like as I've no point in me saying anything else. I'm very biased. Like I love Donegal Rally, and like to me that's the big event of the year. This was your first time coming over to Donegal. Was it all you hoped for?
More. Yeah, it was. I was blown away. Like before we set off, obviously. We lost Dai and me and Jack had teamed up to go over there because Dan Barrett was supposed to be in with me, and obviously I must have frightened him or something. I must have been too fast. I think that's what, yeah. He'll kill me when he says that. So Jack stepped in, and Jack had been through a lot as well, and we worked with each other to get going to Donegal because the Donegal is just people have talked about it, and I never really. I've watched the videos and everything and year on year watching it and I'm thinking, yeah, you won't mind doing that. But when you actually got there, it was something else again. I didn't realise just how big of a area you use. Like, what was it, an hour and 10 up to first service out there. But nobody's bothered. And the people are getting out of your way to let you go and, everything works. I think the planning of it is fantastic. They've done a really good job and yeah, I'm just when I got going on the first day, I was really excited. The only thing I struggled with was the heat. Yeah, like 28, 29 degrees. Everybody's going, no, it normally rains around.
Yes, it's not normal.
55 years of age, and I'm struggling, mate. I'm telling you. I was like, oh. So I think first day I'd done like 7 litres of water. Yeah, I was wet through, like, and I started going to the gym, and I've been doing gym, but it didn't. Them roads up there, the intensity of it. The first stage, like, I just set off, and all of a sudden, people are taking time out of me, and I'm going, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" But then we got settled in and started to enjoy ourselves. But yeah, I like the first day. The first stages, Malanega and all them others, they were good technical stages, but every day just got better.
Yeah.
Apart from when I come off and then it's a wall. Yeah. We'll not talk about that. Well, yeah, no, every day got better. The buzz, you were going back to your digs at night. You were just buzzing, ready, looking forward to the next day. And it just got better and better. And the crowds were massive, weren't they? You're coming up to junctions and like there's loads and loads of people. I'm thinking, which way are we going here? Yeah. So, but no, it was proper rally. That I think the biggest thing for me was this Knockalla stage. I'd looked at it, I'd done my notes. Coming over the top of the hill was the biggest thing for me, because obviously I'm frightened of heights, and I come over the top of there and I'm looking down at that water and I'm thinking, I don't really need this. But yeah, we did it, you know, and it was just enjoyable to do and see them people on them bends. It was just unbelievable. Like, yeah, that first corner when we got up to that, I thought, I can't mess this up. Anyway, James Ford beat me on that one. That's the best ever. We got to the end of the rally, and we was in Park Fairmere that night, and I walked up him and he was stood with everyone. I congratulated him to the biggest cock up like what he'd done. That's a belter, that, James. That's not something I'd do, but no, you don't realise till you drive the Knockalla stage, it's got like 3 like different types of stage in one stage, and it's proper. But then the last day it got even better again, and then I just got it wrong and went sideways into a wall, and we got away with it. So bit of damage, but we managed to finish the rally. So yeah, I had a few misdemeanors on the way, but I think the biggest thing for me and Jack is to just get over that line for Dai, and you know, and do it, and we did, and just amazing.
Yeah, and then, you know, you talked earlier, you know, about the people, like the crowds that was there, you know, on the Sunday evening coming down into the hotel, that whole atmosphere too. Like, it's the same for car 1 going over the ramp as car 101, because the people stay about. There is that atmosphere that just almost lift and carry you over the ramp.
Yeah, and that's it. Even going, but like we said before, I'm coming off the finish line. We're going through towns, and people have walked out of the pub and they're congratulating you. And it doesn't matter what car number you are, you're getting congratulated. They'll take you on a diversion, and you go on the diversion, and then all of a sudden you'll see that there's families sat out with barbecue and everything, and they're revving up in the garden. They put this sign up, they want to rev up and everything, and it's like, where does this happen else? It's Ireland proper, in it. So. No, it was good. You know, hats off, credit to the top 3. You know, it's been a big battle, and I don't think anybody would have predicted that top 3 at the beginning of the rally. You know, they've all been battling. You know, Will was up there, and John was up there, and Hayden, and they've all been mixing it about, and then to come out. You know, congratulations to Callum winning it again. I just tell him I'll let him do it this time.
Next year.
You know, it was good Marion to be up there on second. That was amazing as well. He did a good rally. Sure. It was quite funny actually, because I was jibbing Will Crichton and saying, I'm coming for you. Just, you know, obviously I'm not on their pace. And I'd seen him at Dai's funeral, and I walked up to him, I shook his hand, I said, I beat you, didn't I? He didn't finish, he went, cheers, Roskell. He said, thanks for that, mate. I said, I told you I beat you. So, yeah, and Hayden Padding, I beat him as well. But yeah, it's the all good crack about it, innit? Yeah. Have the fun. If you don't have the fun, there's no point rallying.
No, that's for sure. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. And then, you know, as we, now after Donegal's, you're looking at coming over to the Down Rally, and like, to me, I think Down Rally is one of those rallies that probably goes on below the radar a wee bit, because, you know, it's a part of the Northern Ireland Championship and a round of the British Pro Tire Championship as well. But like, you get a chance to drive Hamilton's Folly. I think you're using it 3 times this year.
And don't mention that to me. It was a couple of years ago we'd done it, and I didn't even get to Hamilton Folly. We're on that stage, and I come over the first jump. There's a jump about a mile in. I've come over there, got it wrong. Next thing, the bonnet's up, and I've drove the whole stage in the rain with the bonnet up, and I didn't stop. And I'm looking underneath, trying to tack me off, and just to see what I could. And we did the whole stage, me and Andrew. We did that, and I was nearly sick by the end of it, because it took that much effort. And we didn't get caught by the car, so we didn't do so bad. But yeah, and then the last time I did it, I decided to hit that Hamilton's Folly flat, pulled into 5th, and off we went. And we I've got this new Irish spec suspension. I'm right. We can jump anything. Oh yeah, it was like, like that. We landed, but yeah, well, that was an eye opener. But that jumped something else again, innit? The crowds, it's so famous, and them stages to me are brilliant. They are. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting back. You know, after what's gone on, I've had to reboot myself and say, right, let's keep pushing, let's carry on with what we're doing, because You know, I know he'd want to do that with Dai and you know, everybody else. So, yeah, to go out there, I'm looking forward to it. But I've just seen like the entry list now; it's getting worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's better for everybody else. Like Johnny Greer, and I'm seeing all the top lads who are like, I'm going, where do they come from?
Yeah, they all come last minute, didn't they? Yeah.
Oh, this isn't fair, this. Yeah, but you know, if I can carry a bit more speed this time, and you know, see how we go with the stages, and then with Ulster after that, haven't we as well? Dan's back in, Rob's in with me for this one, and then Dan's back in for Ulster. So, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'll get out there and see what we can do and have some fun, really. But
and I suppose the final question, or maybe you've already answered this, like 2026. We could see a return back again?
Yeah, I would say so, and hopefully faster. You know, I'm hoping that what I'm doing will make me faster. I start to learn the stages, because every stage for me over there is brand new to me. You know, I'm not ever going to get where the top 10 are, but if I can have some fun while I'm doing what I'm doing, then great. I will be over. A mate of mine, I've been trying to jib Mark Kelly into coming over, and it sounds like he's interested. So if I can get a few lads to come over for next year and just have the crack, because I want them to see what it's all about, because it's a fantastic championship.
So thanks very much there to Neil, and 2026 looking good, and hopefully we'll get some of his friends involved as well too, and bring a few more visitors over. They'll always be welcome. So Conor, that's another episode of Krunching Gears, the Rally podcast.
Yeah, and any excuse to talk about Donegal, Kevin.
That's for sure, and like, sure, it's only 50 weeks or something to next year now, maybe even 49, so that'll not be long as slipping in. So until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.
That's the proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.